Jack of all trades. Hey, I'm your host, Lamar L.A. Smith, and welcome to another episode of the Jack of All Trades podcast. Today, I'm with my good friend, CJ Hawkins. He's a senior at Morehead State University and a D1 cheerleader who's been on a few title teams, to say the least.
Yeah. Hey, guys. Thanks for having me again, Lamar.
Appreciate it. So the reason why you were someone that came to mind for this episode about parties is because you have a unique perspective. Because you, I would say, are one of the few people that can say that you were at the first party that I ever threw, as well as you were at like the last party I ever threw, that at least that I can think of.
Yeah,
So
I think I remember it.
same majority of the stuff that I've done. So what better person to, talk about this experience than with yourself? So I'm gonna, get to our first question. So when I met you, you were a freshman, I was a senior. What was your perceptions of parties, in college before, I started throwing parties?
Well, like my senior year of high school, I went to a couple of like high school parties here and there. Not high school parties. A couple of college parties at RCC, I believe it was. I threw a couple of them. So, back in California at least, well, I'm here now. That's what this video is taken. Well, back in California, we kind of have the pack mentality of like get as many people in the room, music as loud as we can, and get it going. So like between that and like me watching Project X a million times, it was so like when I get to college, man, it's gonna be crazy. It's gonna be like that. People are gonna be jumping off roofs, and it's kind of funny because throughout our time we've had that kind of stuff happen. We've had people jumping off roofs. We've had like the car going through the bushes and going into the the train tracks. Like kind of some of that stuff that we did see in the movies, we kind of accomplished. So I wasn't really, I guess I wasn't surprised that it happened, but in the moment I was like, oh, whoa, all right, well, let's keep going.
Yeah, no, I feel that for sure. Like, I mean, I feel like you came like to have a freshman year for parties. I feel like I don't know, I don't know what else could have topped that because you came at the right around the time. I know at least when I was a freshman, and I know a lot of people feel like this, like your first couple parties or your first year is usually solid or pretty good. And then after that, I don't know why, but it goes downhill after that. And for whatever reason, I was just in a position where I was like, you know what, it's been going downhill the last 2 years. I got to take this thing up a notch. So I got in a position where, I could take it up a notch.
Yeah.
So, speaking of that, we're going to go back in time real quick to the first party. I remember it like it was yesterday. It was the first week of October, like 3 years ago.
Yeah.
What did you think of that party? Because, this is before we met. I met at least some of our other friends. So they weren't at this party. You were at this party. Keyshawn was at this party. But that's about it.
Yeah, man. It was it was great, man. Like, well, I think one thing I wasn't expecting in college was the amount of raunchiness that just like it's like, oh, it's outside of a house, open the door, boom, people just doing that. I'm like, oh, all right, well, like, or to go to a bathroom and, someone's, doing a couple lines. You're just like, oh, it's not me. It's not my thing. But, they're doing it. They're like, having their fun. And the aspect of the house and how, as we kept going through parties, we try to make each room its own little vibe. But that first party, I was just kind of blown away because I was like, all right, we got people in the front that are, dancing, shaking, doing other things. People in the kitchen on the counters dancing, shaking. And then you go to the back room, you're just like, whoa, there's more people here still dancing, shaking. Go outside in the back. People are talking, playing pong, whatever it is. Like those things kind of took me back for a second. I was like, all right, maybe Kentucky got something special here. And, like it was my first year and every girl was new to me. And, all the people in general.
Yeah. Like that new feeling is like a rush.
Yeah, like me as a person, I'm like say hi to everyone, high five everyone or whatever it is. Can't do that now because Corona. But back in the day, I could talk to the whole party and end up, knowing 500 people that I didn't know the day before. And it's like, all right, cool. Next day, learn another 1,000 names. It's like, it's a new experience every day, and that's the best part about it.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I think the craziest thing was, I think this was the only time that I did this out of all the parties I threw. Those first two parties were outdoors, like primarily. Like, I think some people went in the house, but most of the action was outside because that's how they wanted it. And I remember that second party, it was cool, but it only stopped because it rained. I don't know if you remember that, but it rained out of the blue, and then everyone was like, you know what, party's over, blah, blah, blah. And like the DJ packed up all this stuff. So I thought that was, pretty funny that in that instance, that the reason why the party ended was because of weather. But just thinking about, great parties in general, what do you think makes a great party? Because I'll tell you my own perception afterwards, but I want to hear, your perspective, as a party goer.
I think what makes a great party is the people that go. Like, a lot of people are like, oh, well, like, they make an excuse. They didn't have alcohol. They didn't have loud enough music. They didn't have enough, the ratio was off, whatever it is. I think none of that honestly matters. Like, me, I try to go to everybody's party to see who does the best or who does what I like. In my own opinion, it's all about people. Like, I've been to, some frat parties where everyone's like, it's a packed room, but no one's dancing. So that everyone's like, drinking and kind of chilling back, and no one's having fun. They're like, oh, that party was kind of lame, da 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 da. Whereas I've had parties where it was like, 20 people, but the whole night, everyone was going hard. Everyone was having fun with each other. Everyone was like dancing and being hyped. The energy that the people that come to the party bring is what happens. Like, one of my biggest things that I hated hearing was, the people that came to parties early.
Yeah.
No one was there yet. Like, or they came on time where, you come 30 minutes late. Come on. The rule is 30 minutes late. At least.
Exactly.
But you come to the parties and they be like, man, no one's here. Like, this party's lame. Da, 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 da. And they go home. And then, hour later, everyone's bumping in the house. Like, the whole floor's moving, breaking tile, breaking the wood floor. And those people the next day be like, man, that party was whack. And, you got 2,000 other people like, nah, that was the party. You should have been there. I feel like people need to just, if you're there first, man, that sucks for you. But
you gotta ride it out.
Yeah, like, stay there. And when people come in there, like, if people start walking, like, hey, let's go. Give them a drink. Give them something to do. Give them a challenge, man. Like, hey, you can't dance better than my friend. Something, because then that's gonna start the party.
Yeah. No, I definitely think we're on a similar wavelength for far as that, because when you think about it, someone has to come there first, right? Mm-hmm. Or it's not going to be a party. Like, you can't have a party and expect 100 people there and you can't get 10 first. It's just a progression. So, I mean, I feel like it was different because we had this, big, like, inner circle, if you want to call it that.
Yeah.
Already had like 20, 30 people already at the party as soon as it started. So it was just a different vibe because we were all enjoying ourselves, blah, blah, blah. And as people came in waves, it just naturally grew. But for me, I would say a great party is like what you said. It has to do with the people, but also I like diversity in general, right? So I think you talked a little bit about that, but I noticed, at least me, at being at school all that time, is that you have different scenarios where you go to certain parties and there's mainly black people. You go to certain parties, mainly white people, or mainly people of one like social class.
Yeah, like Greek life or like
Greek life, or athletes, or not in Greek life, whatever the situation is, right? But I think it's better when everybody comes together, because that's when you bring in those different personalities. Like you said, I'm not condoning this, but if a dude wants to, smoke weed or do lines or whatever, like, having those people that are off the wall and having the more people that are more centered and just like the wallflowers on the wall chilling, like, you need a mixture of all those different personalities to have a great party, because that gives it that functionality. Because if everyone's one type of way, it's not like it really has that life. So I think what I enjoyed the most is that, unlike most parties, I was able to consistently get a diverse group of people that regardless of where they were at or what year they were or what their like social class at the school was. Everyone felt comfortable coming to this party, and no one felt like they were going to get judged or that they weren't invited. Like everyone just enjoyed themselves.
Yeah, man. I remember we used at Forest Park. We used to like go. Remember, SAE was like 3 doors down.
Yeah.
We used to like walk in there, and it just be. I think it was me, Wande, and Amir sometimes, or me. I know it was me and Amir most of the times, or me, Amir, and Christian. And we'd walk in, and we'd be like the only non-Greek people, and me and Wande being the only Black people there. So we get all the eyes on us for like, the first 10 minutes. Supposed to be here, man. What are you doing here? And just like, hey, we're throwing a party down the street. We have a big crowd already. You guys just move this whole thing. Come with us, And that really opened us to having, like you said, diversity and having everyone have that understanding. Like, hey, I don't care where you're from. I don't care who you are. As long as you're not starting trouble, let's have a great time.
100%.
Yeah. And I mean, the CCC and Black Avengers, we can't say what that stands for, but
yeah,
like, that helped out a lot, man. Having, especially Black Avengers, because we had the males there, but we had the counterpart females that, the guys would tell all the guys on campus, like, hey, we're going to go party. And the girls would, say in the big old girl chat, hey, this party's going down. We already know who's going to be there. Like, make sure you show up. And that big family aspect that we still, it's still good that we still hold on to that, man. Like, we still talk in the chat all the time. And having that core group, like you said earlier, man, like, we were already the firecrackers, man. We were just trying to light on fire at that point.
No, like, I think for me, like you said, like having that core group, I think that's something that I wanted to capture in my book. Obviously, you'll see like when you read the final version, but people looked at me, right, as like this face, or they expected me to do all these glamorous things. But I couldn't done half the stuff I did as far as throwing parties if I didn't have, you, Wandy, to do like all those different people helping me in different ways, even if it was something as simple as like, inviting somebody, or like you said, going to a frat, saying that somebody want to come to the party. Like all these different things and so many other things that I can think of that I did that may seem minuscule, but, helped me more than you would know. So I just always appreciated that. But another thing that I always wanted to know that I didn't think about until when I was outlining everything for this interview, when did you think like, okay, Lamar's arrived, or like Lamar, like he's actually like a legit good party thrower? Because I have my own perception, but I want to hear like someone else's opinion.
Well, man, like I said earlier, like everyone on campus, every time we had a party was talking about the party the next day, and it came to a point where like, I'd be walking, me, I talked to everybody. I ride my scooter my first semester at UK, and I was just, going down, flying down. I remember some random person like put their arm out while I was riding and stopped me. And they're like, hey man, like, you guys did a party tonight? Like, you guys threw a party last night. You guys doing one tonight too? And then that's when I texted you, and I was like, yo, run it back. Like, we used to say that all the time. Like, hey, I'm sick and tired, man. I don't want to do it. Like, I'm so sore. I'm so like hungover, whatever it was. And the main thing everybody would say, run it back.
Yeah.
And that's when I realized, man, like, you had something special going on, and like we were part of it, but like you really spearheaded that, because you at that time, man, you knew way more people than I did. Like, I wasn't a known name until basically the end, and like now I'm like a known name. But you had that thing going on from the beginning, man. People were like, oh, Lamar's party tonight? Over, I don't want to say, I shouldn't say the whole address, but Forest Park, yep, going. Like that's all we did,
Yeah, I mean that's good to know, because I never thought about it like that until, I would say, I didn't really think I arrived or that what I was doing had any type of impact on all the students until like after Halloween, because the first 2 parties were good, and I kind of just threw that next party because the Big Blue Madness after party, because they kind of like not peer pressure me in it, but they kind of like convinced me to do it. Because they were like, all right, they want to throw this party, they want us to have this party. And I was like, I mean, I have nothing else better to do this weekend, so why not? So it's just kind of like going with the flow. And then with that Halloween party, it's just that build up where I kept talking about it, kept hyping it up. And like, you know, I had the posters, the whole nine. And then to see, at least for me, I didn't even think that party was one of my best. It just was the most active as far as like amount of people there. And the fact that people were talking about it, you know, that whole next week, and people were like, this and that happened, and this and that happened. And then they still wanted to show up after that, even though in my mind, things didn't go at all how I wanted it to go. Yeah. I was like, wow, I did something special because I would have never envisioned that. So like being able to be the guy who could be kind of that bridge where normal groups of people on campus that normally wouldn't see each other or hang out with each other, get to be in that same space together.
Yeah. Dude, there was a whole bunch of times where like we had fights break out on the side, and you know, the whole party shuts down. Like we're all like, no, everyone stop, they're fighting over there. You know, we grab the two guys, we kick them out, and then everyone's like, so keep partying, right? And we're just like, all right, I guess, you know, or the times like where the cops showed up and everyone, like all of our guys that we know are like, hey, everyone get to the back, everyone shut up, no one talk, you know, like, and you got, you know, 200, 300 people in one room, all like, you know, shoulder to shoulder with each other, you know, face to face, and they're completely quiet because they know like this thing will keep going as soon as the cops leave. Like this is not the stop part right here. Like even I think over what was it? I can't think about it.
The first house or the second house?
I'm thinking about when we moved it to State Street. We had one on State Street, or you do one on State Street, where they had the basketball game playing on the side of the roof, and they had like 1,000 people out, and all the riot gear cops were outside. It was during what is it called? I can't even think. My brain's all messed up today.
Trying to think, because I know like we had the two main houses, and then there was a couple other random parties that I had at other houses. But like I helped promote somebody's party that they had at their house at like other random spots. Can't think of it.
Yeah, but I mean, it shows.
I do know you're talking about. There was one where like they had the game playing, and for whatever reason during the party, but we just like, hey, it's your house, do you?
Yeah, and that shows the extent of like what you did, man. Because like there was whole organizations going, hey, Lamar, like we want to throw a party at our house, but we don't want to just throw it. We want you to throw it for us because we know that you're gonna make everything happen. And you know, with you came the whole crew.
Yeah.
Like, that was the best thing about it, man. Like wherever one of us went, this is the best and the worst thing about it. Wherever one of us went, we all went. You know, and that kind of that made some of the frat houses mad because like, you know, they invite you or they invite me or they invite Wanda or Keyshawn or Amir or somebody, and then they turn around and there's like 15, like 12 to 15 of us all there. Like, hey, yeah, we all got invited with him. We're linked arms. We're all together, man.
Yeah. I mean, that's the best. Like you said, it's the best and worst part of it. Like, I guess it can be annoying that you immediately invited like 10 or 12 other people that you didn't mean to invite or didn't think that were coming. But it's like, this is like my guys. Like, if I'm coming, like, I want them to be able to enjoy the experience as well. You know what I'm saying?
Of course.
I think that also leads into another thing that I wanted to ask about. And another thing that I thought about just in general with, you know, college is, you know, that type of that line between Greek parties and, you know, regular parties. Why do you think it feels like almost the history of time pretty much.
Yeah.
That there's this disparity between Greek life parties and regular parties. Because to me, it's not just about, you know, paying dues to be a part of your organization or whatever. Because I understand that to an extent. But I feel like even with that, there's still this divide.
On that aspect, man, I would say it's a pride thing, man. Like I feel like they have so much pride, and they're like, "Oh, well, I threw this party, so I'm gonna get like, you know, like you said, we all go to a party for that girl of our dreams or that time that we want." And I feel like every time we went to a party, all it was like, the guys thought we were competition for them. Like,
Yeah.
it wasn't ever a problem when we came with our girls and we had like our girls on our arms and we were like, oh yeah, we're walking in with them, because at that point they viewed us as partners and like we're already taken like that. But when we went by ourselves, it's like, oh well, these guys are a threat because now I have less of a chance to get the girls that I want. And I'm like, dude, like, can you not realize that? Wait, Auntie, can you not pop those? I'm on a podcast. Can you not pop those right now? Love you. But I think it's honestly like that internal pride getting broken down.
Like, I mean, for me, the way I think about it is like, I do agree that some of it has to be with pride, because for whatever reason, like, sometimes as guys, whether it be intentional or unintentional, we get competitive about things that don't necessarily involve competition.
Mm-hmm.
So they're like, oh, like, I guess also it doesn't help that we aren't just regular dudes at that point. Like, most of us have been seen at parties, whether it's at parties that I throw or is at other parties that I promote or we get other people to come to. So it's like, oh, people like actually kind of know them. So
yeah,
I think it makes that, like, it amplifies that. But I mean, you can agree with this as well. There's a good chance, at least half the time, probably more than that, that we were just going because we just wanted to party. Like, we weren't even checking for girls. I remember times I walked in houses and I didn't even look at anyone in the room, and they're like, hey, who do you know here? And I'm like, I didn't even look at anybody. I've been in the corner. The girls that did come came to me. Like, I didn't go to speak to anyone. Like, I'm just here with my 2 or 3 guys, and we just like chilling, like bobbing our heads or whatever. So I do think that was more of a crazy part to me. But we're gonna go ahead.
that. I was trying to refrain from saying this, but honestly, man, like, I can't hold this one back. It's kind of a race thing, man, because like,
yeah, it is.
Like, I hate, like, even UK itself. Like, if you were to break down University of Kentucky, like, we lived on the north side, right? North side of campus.
South side
South side of campus, right? And that's where predominantly the white frats are, and that's where our party house was. That's where both of our party houses actually were. Like, we never faced those problems that we just talked about when we went to the black frats. We walked inside there. It was always open arms, always, hey, what you doing? How you doing? Like, you need something, you need this, and need that. I feel like, in high school, you kind of like the first day of high school, you're like, oh, I'm gonna find where I'm gonna sit for lunch, and you immediately gravitate toward your skin color, or toward people you think that are similar to you. I think it's a unconscious thought that we have that we automatically do, and that's what we have that divide. Like, as soon as one of us, like I said earlier, as soon as one of us came in there, they're immediately like, oh, who's that? Why is he here? Is he safe? Kind of thing. Where if any people walk in our houses, we're just like, oh, cool, another person. And that was that separation, that was that divide between us. Going deeper than that, man, like, it's instilled in us through, like I said, through like school, through our lunch times. Like, go look at any high school in America right now. I bet you can see the division in the kids on where they're sitting.
Yeah, that's true now that I think about it. I mean, it's harder for me to think about it because for the most part, all minorities were at my school. But even if you just think about like different shows you watch, if you visit schools, because I visited schools in Kentucky, you can see, like, visit high schools in Kentucky, you can see like how people, I guess, an unconscious bias that they like separate in some shape or form, which is weird because, we have, I would say, a fairly diverse group, as diverse as it will get being in Kentucky.
Oh, yeah, dude.
I just find it funny how we don't think about that, but you can see why other people do think like that when they're in this space.
I remember I had a teammate that used to tell me, like when I was at UK, he used to tell me all the time, man, why do you make everything about race, man? Everything's not about race. And I was like, just because you're not noticing these things doesn't mean it's not happening. That's a big point for people to actually like. That's for everyone. Everyone should start thinking about this. Just because you haven't noticed it or you don't recognize it doesn't mean it's not happening. I think it was a tweet the other day, and it was like, if young brown and black children can experience racism when they're small, white children or other children in general should be taught about it, because that's a big argument. I'm sorry, take away this party kind of talk for this. But
no, this is a important aspect of it, and it's like it's another reason why I wrote this book. But
but just because you don't see it or you don't recognize it, or you've never been taught to recognize it, or you don't understand what things that you even yourself do, like you as a person, you don't recognize the things that you do that could be racist or are rooted in racism. Like I remember, for example, one of my teammates, actually I don't think it was a teammate at that time. It was a friend or somebody was talking to us, and they were like, "Oh, I'm so mad. I'm gonna curb stomp that girl or curb stomp that dude," whatever they said. And I kind of cockeyed at them, and they were like, "Why are you looking at me so strange?" And I was like, "Do you not know the racial history behind that, behind curb stomping?" And they were like, "Oh, well, I wasn't saying like that." And I was like, "Yeah, but do you understand that when you say that, you're taking everything with it? You're not saying it. I know words are just words, but things like, especially like curb stomping, that's super violent. I'm sorry,
super violent.
But that's something that has racial history to it. And every time you speak of it, I'm not going to say, "Oh, he just meant it as in the 2015 version and on." No, you meant it from the way it started. You just didn't understand that it started from here, and it's still going through that. I don't know. I mean, let's erase all that. Not erase it, but let's move on from that.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm glad you touched on that, because I didn't even think about it in that deeper sense, far as at least like I said when I was drafting this up. But I'm glad you did bring that up, because that is an important point. We can't neglect the fact that we did go to PWI. I mean, you still go to PWI. I went to grad school to PWI. So these are things that, even though we don't always want to face them, we face them. We have no control over whether we get to face them or don't get to face them.
Of course.
Now back far as like the party aspect, I want to ask you, during your whole college time, what are the top 3 parties that you say that you've been to?
Definitely Halloween. Dude, so I'm just gonna tell everyone now, because everyone's gonna find this one out anyways.
Yeah.
So there was this thing you guys used to tell me all the time, and it was one of my problems. You guys say, "Hey, CJ, you got coke face." Coke face, basically, is because I used to make out with people. Like I used to, find my girl for the night, start making out with her. Dude, so much makeup, and I'd end up with a face that was just super white, as if like someone had got some baby powder and just slapped me with it.
Should have kept a napkin with you or something.
I should have. Now I'm gonna start doing that. I'm gonna have some wet wipes in the back pocket. But I remember Halloween, I had like chosen out the girl that I was gonna hang out with, or dance with, whatever it was, and we were just chilling the entire time. I remember, I think I still have a couple pictures, because people were like coming in the house, and we were just sitting on the couch talking the whole time. Not the whole time, but we were sitting on the couch just vibing and having a great time. We always did like a riot, party style, but that was a really good one. I think my second favorite was one of our Morehead ones, just because like I never and this is kind of digressing from UK, but at Morehead, I never understood the value of the family aspect of the team.
Mm-hmm.
And at our parties, a lot of the time, like I took, like even at UK, like the cheer parties are kind of just cheerleaders. We don't really invite anybody else, because like even at Morehead, our team's like 70 people. We don't really need.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I mean, the ratio is super off, but like it's not a bad ratio.
I mean, there's naturally going to be more girls than guys on the team. That's just how cheerleading works. I mean,
yeah. But I remember like seeing, and they're called AGBs because they're the baddest ladies in the land. Shout out to them. But they were all doing their chant, and I was, I never heard the chant, so I was like blown back. I was like, "Oh, okay, like go ahead, go off, go off, go off." And it's not even that it was a chant. It was motorsport. but they have like their little Cardi B verse. They changed it up a little bit, and that was their thing, man.
Oh, that's actually pretty dope. That's pretty
All
dope.
the girls going in singing it, and I was like, "Ooh, this is my team, bro! That hit right there. That was nice." Um, I can't even think about the third one. I mean, there's so many good ones we had, man. But it would probably be between the two UK ones would be that Morehead one, but these are definitely at UK #1 and #3. Like, especially because of course Morehead's a smaller college and there's less people there, and we're still dealing with that same thing we're dealing with back at UK, man. Like, where we're throwing parties and then the frats throwing parties and they never want to get together because they're like, well, we have this, man, we have that, and I'm like, dude, like, I don't think you realize that I'm probably not there for your girls. Like, like, you know me, I go to parties now, not to party most of the time. I'm trying to play Pong because
Yeah, you do. I have seen several parties
table.
where that's the first thing you're going to do. All right, this is my table. This is my partner. Who trying to get me?
Yeah,
Who trying
and
to go against me?
I will stay on the Pong table for hours. Like, not even worried about dance with nobody. Not worrying about what hot girl came in at the time. I'm just like, all right, well, I'm here to take somebody's name. Like, you're gonna know my name, and you're gonna know my partner. Whoever my partner is, you're gonna know their name by the end of the night because we splashed on everybody. No one was here to see us. Like, who's next? That's it.
Oh, I feel that. I feel that. I mean, for me, I would say at first I was going to say the top 3 parties that I've been to, but
Mm.
I'm not even trying to gas myself. I can't think of 3 parties that I've been to that are better than the parties that I threw. So I'm gonna just say 3 parties that I threw. So for me, I would say the 3 parties were, one of them would be Operation Blackout.
That was fire. That's probably #3.
Yeah, the one that I threw with John, that was a dope party. I think that was like, has to be the last like big party that I threw at UK. Because after that, after we came back from spring break, all the other parties were stuff that I promoted for other people. Like, they just told me about it, and I was like, bet, just to have something to do. But that was like the last like big party I threw. I'm trying to think. I would say Big Blue Madness after party. That was dope.
I was so tired
Just the
that night, bro.
vibe. I think it was also cool that, I mean, I noticed this because I've been there 4 years, but I was seeing girls that I haven't seen since like sophomore year there. And I was like, dang. I was like, I brought them out, or like seeing people that I know that don't even go out like that. So I think that's why that one is always pretty memorable to me. Trying to think of other parties. Oh, I would say the other party is that that party that the one before the venue party, like the party that I promoted, that I had the camera and I was recording everybody like for the promo video.
Yeah.
Like, that was pretty dope. Like, the promo video came out clean. Like, everyone enjoyed themselves. DJ Pretty was there, all of that. So I would say those are my top 3. And I would say the honorable mentions would be the party that Taylor Bennett came to. That was before Thanksgiving. And then the other one would be, what is it? I'm trying to think. Obviously Halloween. I just got to put that there just because the fact that I was able to, get that much respect from a party that didn't even go that great, says a lot.
All right. Dude, the Taylor Bennett night was the only, like, one of the,
it's like one of the only parties that you didn't go to.
Yes, I was like, I had promised someone that I'd stay indoors with them and I would like hang out with them that night. And dude, I remember my phone was blowing up. Everyone was like, bro, get your body here. You need to be here right now. Like, this will be your night. And then I was like, nah, bro. Like, I took my phone, I turned it off, and I threw it in the corner. And I was like, woke up the next morning sad. Like, I should have been there. That was
saw the video, saw my story, saw other people's stories, from BA or CCC, and was like, sick.
I think one of the wildest things happened. Like, and this is not even like wild. This is just like, I was never expecting this. My first party I went to at UK, it was before I met any of you guys. It was at what's his name? think his name is Austin. Also, Austin across the street from 234. Oh, excuse me, from Forest Park.
I know you're talking about. I know the house on Forest Park that you're talking about.
Yeah, Draco Austin. But I went to his house and he was throwing a party. And this is the first time I met Nas. This is why I always remember Nas. This man had went in their fridge, got milk out, got cereal out, and made a bowl of cereal mid-party, and was just smacking their cereal during the party, bro. And I was like, this is where stealing Nas became a title to me, because this man was in, like, and I mean, it wasn't like he had one bowl of cereal. He was going. I'm still hungry. Milk, keep going. He put it back in the fridge, put it back on top of the fridge, and act like nothing happened. Wow. Yeah, and I was like, all right, this is where it's gonna be at, man. Like, this kid, he's crazy. Like, I don't think I'd ever go into someone's house and trust their milk. That's just me. I look at the date and it said it was straight. I'm not trusting your milk.
He had some heart, and he was hungry.
Yes.
Hungry to be doing that. All right. We got a couple of fan questions. There's 3 of them. The first one's kind of wild. I'm gonna say it anyway, but I feel like we're both gonna, give the PG-13 version of it.
I'm ready.
The first fan question is: what is your estimate on how many babies were made during your parties? Which is wild.
Throughout my first year at UK, I would say at least 35 babies were made. Now, because, dude, people were. I'm not saying they went full term and got through, but I'm saying they were made, because we had a lot of dumb people that would do a lot of dumb things. We caught people in the backyard in the corner next to the bushes, or behind the garage sometimes.
That's a good point.
Well, I mean, like, that, do your thing. Like, if that's where you got it, you got it.
Yeah.
There.
I mean, I have nothing to do with that. I ain't nobody's parent, so I have no control over that. I mean, that's an interesting number, because when I first read the question, because, like, I had them send it to me on IG, I couldn't even think of a number. All I was going to say is that I know that a lot of activity happened.
Yes.
I will say one thing about having diverse parties that kind of created this, because guys are seeing girls that they normally would never, ever, ever see or run across if they just were going about their normal day on campus. So you had, like, these weird pairings of people getting together or hooking up or even dancing with a girl, trying to talk to a girl that they never, ever see on campus. So I think that added to, whatever the question was going for. But it's too hard for me to know. That's a very fat question mark to me.
If we say how many babies didn't even make it to that stage, we probably have billions.
Yeah, like that will probably be gruesome. I just know in general, people saw people that they were attracted to, and then what they did after that, have no control over. Next fan question. All right, this one is interesting. I still don't know an answer. Maybe if you say something, you may be able to help me think of something. What's your most embarrassing moment at a college party? Or, like, what's your most embarrassing story?
Most embarrassing story. Well, I was just talking to one of my coaches about this. Not my old coaches, not current coaches. I had gotten in trouble, not because of what I did, but because the way someone else answered my coach on a phone call. Like, say we're supposed to be in the locker room at 3:00. It was like 2:58, and we weren't in the locker room. We were right next to it, and we were, like, buying food or whatever it was. And our coach calls me, but I had all the megaphones and stuff on my back and my shoulders, so I have my hands full. And I go, "Hey, answer the phone. It's in my pocket." He answered the phone, and our coach goes, "Where are you guys at?" Immediately, this kid goes, "Oh, we're here." And me, I'm like,
"Why would you say that?"
Why? So we 2 seconds later walk into the door. He goes, "All right, I'll see you guys at 5 a.m." What that means is we have to go to the field at 5 a.m. and we're in trouble. Basically, we're going to, like, condition and stuff. because, you know, you can't be late to practice or you can't be late to games, which we weren't late, but the way he answered it was disrespectful in that tone. Like, and at that time, he could have been like, "Hey, coach, we're, you know, right outside the building getting food right now." Like, that would have been acceptable kind of thing. Anyways, so we ended up going to a party that night. I'm having a great time, dude. I don't know how I ended up somewhere. I ended up someone's dorm, and I remember Keyshawn texted me. He goes like, "Hey, bro, don't come home tonight." And I was like, "Okay, whatever." Like, normally we do whatever. We go in the room, you know, whenever the door closes, no one else can see us anyways. But one night he texted me, "Don't come home." So I went to this dorm, and I remember I had a did I even have a shirt? No, I didn't have a shirt on. I had my shorts and no shirt. Woke up, had to get up at 5 a.m. to go to this workout. So I got up at 4:30 ish, and I realized that I don't have my key to get in the dorm. So I'm like banging on the front door. There's no one at the front desk for some reason. I'm throwing rocks at the window. Keyshawn's not answering. So I'm like, all right, I can't be late to this workout. So I basically run to the workout. And mind you, it's in December. It's like almost December time like this. So it was snowing. And there's snow on the ground. I remember I got there and I'm like freezing, like holding my body, trying to keep myself warm. And the other guy gets there and he goes, "Why don't you have a shirt on, bro?" And I was like, wild night, didn't get back in my room, you know? And, Keyshawn, like in Keyshawn's sense, Keyshawn doesn't answer the phone. So I was like,
Yeah,
calling
of course.
an answer. And I get out there. Coach was like, "Why don't you have a shirt?" I'm like, couldn't get back to my room, try to make it some other excuse. I was like, couldn't get back to my room, couldn't put a shirt on. He's like, "All right, whatever, dude." He starts us. We ran like 5 gassers, and then we did some barrel rolls down the field. And I'm like shivering. He gets, he has somewhat of a heart. He goes, "Hey, CJ, come here." And he gives me his jacket. So I'm like, "All right, dude, thanks." Like, still shivering, still doing sprints and barrel crawls and all this stuff. And at the end, like, I still love him to death. He goes, "All right, so you done being an idiot?" And I was like, "Dude, you'll never see me here at 5 a.m. again, unless I'm supposed to be here." Like, and to me, it wasn't embarrassing. The fact of the party that was embarrassing. It was the aftermath of that, because now instead of it just being, "Oh, I was at a party and I made a stupid mistake," it was me partying, getting into my other life, my prestigious life. And now my coach is like, "Yeah, you're stupid, kid. Like, get your head screwed on right." And I guess another time, I think I fell down the stairs at a party before. It wasn't like a tumble, but I like, when you
like the footing.
down.
Oh,
Like,
you slipped. Oh, that's better. I thought you did like the front flip version.
Oh, bro,
Like that's I've ate dirt like that, just in normal life.
Mm-hmm.
So those are always the worst ones. When you like do like that, like that's way easier to deal with. So
I think the worst part about it though was like the stairs were going outside. So I had slid all the way to outside and I was covered in mud. Like my whole back had mud on it. And in my fashion, I'm trying to party still, like, "Yeah, let's get it, whatever." And people are touching my back and they're getting mud on their hands and mud on their shoulders. So at some point I'm just like, I'm just gonna take my shirt off. Take my shirt off. Yeah, like at that point, like I hate
it a little bit easier.
But take my shirt off. And I think I lost that shirt. That was like one of my favorite shirts. Lost the shirt because, it's a muddy shirt. I'm not gonna hold on to it.
Yeah, I don't blame
Back
you.
home, I think I had trailed mud all the way into the elevator and up to our dorm. There was like muddy shoe prints. Next day, I made sure I woke up early, cleaned my shoes off, wash my clothes, make sure it didn't look like I did it. But that was a pretty embarrassing one too, because everyone saw me fall. Like they were just like, you hear their and they look over and it's just me on the ground. Me trying to play it off. I'm laughing about it, joking about it, but on the inside, I was like, you slow with that one, bro.
All right. Your story did help me think of one. And it definitely is my most embarrassing one. I was trying to think of an alternative. What I'm going to figure out a way to tell people anyway. So Operation Blackout was not kind to Lamar.
Mm-hmm.
I, was not in the best, state of mind. I was trying to, cause I remember it all started because I was trying to be too good of a salesman.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, everybody was looking around. They were like, "Oh, blah blah blah. Like, what's this? Don't y'all got drinks? Blah blah blah." And I was like, "Yeah." So I just started drinking this drink. Right? It was
Mm-hmm.
not mixed well or whatever. Like we were preparing, it was like not mixed well, and no one took anything of it except for me. And I was like, nah, it's good, it's good. And then I wound up drinking, from other people downstairs. And next thing you know, like I'm not feeling so hot. And I remember getting back to John's place, and let's just say I was in front of his toilet throwing it up vehemently. And then next thing you know, he was he was texting girls for me, and I was there and I was in front of the toilets. They were throwing up like, yeah, hit up blah blah blah, hit up blah blah blah. And he was like, what? So that whole night was it was awful. Like, I was fine. I'm good now, obviously, but yeah, never again. I was thrown up for a hot minute. My concept of time was off. I
Mm-hmm.
think he ended the party early, which is saying a lot because the party was jumping. He ended the party early, ended it like 2. When I was done throwing up, it was like around like 4:30. I was sitting on his
Oh man.
bathroom floor for like an hour and I didn't even realize it. I did the slang word of the day that day, which I always did, on his bathroom floor because I forgot to do it the day before because of the party. And then he was texting these girls saying whatever he was saying because what I was saying probably was too wild or didn't make sense.
Yeah,
So yeah, that was definitely the most embarrassing.
dude.
I'm glad I never had another night like that.
I think now, okay, this is worse than both of the stories I just told. I'm gonna say it because it still makes me it makes me laugh now. I'm sorry to whoever was also involved in the story. Um, like I'm always the person to take everyone home. Like I take everyone home, make sure everyone gets home safe. And if I tell everyone that's in my car that I'm not taking them home, or that I'm saying I'm sleeping in my car, like it's wraps for me. Like I'm beyond where I need to be.
Yeah.
So one night I'm like so gone, like past the point of return. So I tell everyone in the car, hey, I can't take you guys home. So we get them rides, and you know me, I'm the person that sleeps in the car. Like I'll sleep in my car and I'll chill. I remember I slept in my car and I thought I was good. I was like, all right, I'll wake up in the morning, it'll be whatever. I woke up, the urge to puke just hit my stomach so fast. So I open my door and I puke out the door. I'm like, all right, cool, you puke, dude. You're usually good after that. Sit back down, close my eyes, immediately again. Ugh. Happened like 4 or 5 times. And then I stopped. I have water in my car, so I drank some water. I was like, okay,
Yeah.
dude, you're done with this. So then now it's like, hitting that 4 o'clock, 4 a.m. mark, same as you, man. And I wake up again, but my stomach's not trying to go up, it's trying to go down. And like, I'm like, I have to dookie so bad. And when you drink alcohol, it makes you just fly out.
Yeah. Yeah.
So sorry to all the viewers. Mom, I love you. I'm sorry you got to hear this story if you ever hear this. But I remember I ran to this dude's yard and I was like, I can't go in the front of the yard. I'm gonna go
Yeah.
on the side. So I remember I pulled down my pants and dude, it
Like
just
dog
splatted.
style.
It just splatted all over the side of his house. I'm sorry,
Yikes.
whoever house that was. My bad.
Yikes.
But I remember I did that, and good thing I have napkins in my center console because I brought them with me.
Mm.
Wipe my butt, and then threw the napkins on the floor. And I felt so bad about it at first, but it was either like I'm doing it in my car or I'm doing it on your house, bro. Like I apologize for that, but there was no going back. So yeah, that was an embarrassing one that has never happened again. Not saying I've never thrown out my car after thrown up out of my car since then, but never dookied random places since then.
That is gruesome. All right, the last fan question. Let me see what the last fan question was. It was, what's the wildest thing you've seen at a party? I think you've already answered one of those before, unless you had something that tops that. This is another one that was hard for me.
Do you remember one of Key's last nights at UK?
Oh yeah, when we threw him that party, yeah.
Yes, and we were like, "Oh, let's get all the girls together for Key." Da, 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 da. I remember I went upstairs, and this was at Forest. Remember,
yeah.
Haddox's bed got bloodied up that night.
You're talking about that.
Yes. So
Yikes.
I go upstairs, and usually when we throw these parties at the house, no one goes upstairs except for our core group or people that know us that are trying to go upstairs and do something.
Yeah.
So I go upstairs, and there's 4 girls just running past me, and there's Dom running past me, and I'm just like, that's weird, whatever, never thought about it. Go downstairs, and then 5 minutes later, Hax is like, who the bled in my bed? Everybody get out. Everyone out. Get out.
I think I remember that too. That's
so
wild.
The story ended up being that some girls went upstairs with a guy. They had their fun. That guy left, and then Dom went behind that guy, and they did their own thing. But neither one of the guys want to say, "Oh, it was bloody when I was there. It wasn't bloody when I was there." But it didn't matter because at the end of the day, one of those times the blood was all over this man's bed. Like,
yikes.
If any of y'all want to know this, have you ever seen CSI or any hitman movie where they kill the person and their blood's all over the bed? That's what it looked like. It was gross. Needs to say, I didn't help him get his bed out either. I was like, that's not me. So that was one of the wildest things. Or I was talking to you about earlier with I can't say this one, but I can't say it completely, but at least I can kind of hint to it. I had a friend that was handling his business in the bathroom, and
I think you told me this one yesterday off the record. On the record, I mean.
Had a guy handling his business in the bathroom, and a couple of his friends, I walked upstairs. I was like, "What are y'all doing?" And they have their eye, because the bathroom door handle wasn't there.
It was broken.
And the guys had their finger on the handle, but their eyes peeking like this, And I'm like, "What are y'all doing?" And they're like, "Ew, bro, this dude's getting it in." And I was like, why are y'all watching that? That's so weird.
That's so weird, bro.
It was wild because it was a party thing, and I was just like, all right, going back downstairs, not watching these fools.
I'm trying to think. All right, not knowing what these two are, I'm gonna just, all right. So the first thing that comes to my mind is not something that directly happened at a party, but happened after a shot book or whatever you would want to call that. And then the only other thing that I can think of, I can't think of really anything else. I would have to take another second to think. So do you want me to tell you what happened after the shot book? Because it's the first thing I think that's wild.
Give me that one first.
All right. So this wasn't at a UK party, but ASU. So of course it's wild. So at ASU, went to this shot book or whatever they call a shot book. It's a power hour or whatever. Their version of that. We came back from it. We played some games, whatever, just chilled out. And then the girls that were hanging with us were supposed to be going to hang out with these other dudes or whatever, they left. But one of them stayed and hung out with us. The other one left, right? So the girl that left hooked up with one of the dudes, right? Mind you, these two dudes are roommates. It's 3, 4 in the morning. Mind you, the girl that was hanging with us had already went home by then. They called us up and was like, "Hey, can you send her to hang out with us?" I was like, "What?" It's it's 3 or 4 in the morning. Why would we do that? No. So instead of that, one of my friends joked and was like, "Hey, won't you the girl that you was just with, just tell her to leave and go to what's-her-face room. Because he was trying to throw a oop to his friend, but his friend wasn't paying any attention. His friend was just sitting on his computer playing COD. So he sent the girl that just got done with him, who still is grimy to this day.
Yeah.
And she went to his roommate, who literally went across the hall like 4 steps. And that happened. So that's the wildest thing that I know about. Because, like, I was like, you really just, but they're different, you know. Some people, that's how they get down, and it is what it is. Like I said, whatever you do, you do. I'm not one to judge, but that's kind of wild to me.
Yeah, I got some more stories for you off the record when we stop recording, but
all right.
Oh man, there's people are crazy, man. Like they're not crazy. They're not thinking. That's the problem.
A lot of stuff happens in the moment, but to wrap this up, we're gonna play a quick game. I don't think it should take too long. I created it last night. It's called Name That Party. So I'm gonna give you a couple scenarios. I'm gonna tell you like bare facts of what happened at this party, and I want to see if you, the guy that went to majority of my parties, can tell me what party that was.
Got you.
All right. So first, I'm gonna go with So this party was super packed. The speaker blew out in one room, and I was refereeing the party the whole night. I even stopped playing music for like 30 minutes, and people still kept coming through the house all night. What party was that?
Was that Halloween that happened?
Yes, sir. That was Halloween.
I was like, weren't you wearing the referee jersey too that night?
No, I was wearing the baseball jersey though.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I guess it kind of fit a little bit.
Was it black and white though?
No, it was navy blue.
Okay. Which night were you wearing the black and white, like kind of like I guess referee? It was like a referee type jersey.
I don't have a referee jersey, but I had a black and white like sports like T-shirt. It was like Kevin Durant or something like that. So maybe you're talking about that. All right, next party. So this party I promoted was down the street from Forest Park, but I can't really give too many details about this night. All I can tell you is that I refer to this, or we, CCCBA, we refer to this as the Nutty Buddy Night. What party led to that experience or that night happening? You know, like Nutty Buddy, like the candy bar.
Yeah. That was Blackout, right? That led to that one?
No. So the party was that soccer party that I promoted. So we left that party and then went to Forest Park to chill before we left. But yeah, that was another night that we won't forget.
Oh man, I'm gonna put Nutty Buddies back in the chat because you know he's gonna get mad too.
Yeah, you're gonna trigger a lot of folks with that.
Yeah.
All right. This party is when all the girls kept complaining about there not being enough guys, and then some of the guys that were there, that like the ones that didn't come that weren't us, obviously, we're getting charged like $20, $30 a head. Like they kept riking it up.
That was Blackout. That was for sure Blackout. Y'all was charging $20 at Blackout too.
No, we weren't charging. We only charged like 10 at Blackout.
What?
Yeah, we charged heavy at. Well, the answer to this question is Big Blue Madness. Yes, Big Blue Madness was charged heavy, and then Halloween was charged heavy because Nate kept like throwing out these random prices or like in order to get more money. They kept paying, and I was like, bro, stop letting people in. Like we're too packed. The music is only playing in the kitchen and not the back room anymore. So it's just too many people. But hey, I mean, my pockets were fat. We all, got fat pockets from that night. So I guess it worked out.
Dude, Big Blue Madness was funny because I remember Nate the next day talking about that. He was just like, man, I would just tell him stuff and they'd give it to me. $50. All right, bet. Grab it. And I was like, Nate, you let people pay $50 to get into a party? He goes, they paid it.
Bro, all-time finesser. Like, out of all the people we had work the door, he was like the ultimate finesser. He would just be like, "What you got? All right, give it to me. Go in." Like,
I mean, and dudes like, you know what, 6'5", 6'4",
yeah,
and like
300
200,
pounds, close to
200 plus.
300.
Like, where you gonna go?
You're not
Nowhere.
gonna do anything. So you just okay. Like, here you go. My bad. All right, next one. This party was the only party that I ever brought a camera to. And I spent the whole time recording everything that happened. Like, and that's it. Like, all I did was record everything that happened in the party. What party that was that?
Can't guess the name of the party. I remember you, like you said earlier, it was before the venue, because the venue used that party for the promotion for the venue.
Yeah.
Was there a name for that one? Or was that?
It wasn't a name, but that was the description I was looking for. All right. So you're 2 out of 4. Let's see if you can pass. You know, C's and D's get degrees. Let's see if you get past this. All right. This party is the only themed party that Big John and I threw together.
That was okay. I've been saying blackout this whole time. I'm done.
Yes, that was Operation Blackout. All right,
give me some new hints, man. Run it back.
That was Operation Blackout. All right, so you got 3 out of 5. All right, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. All right.
Because half the time we threw these parties, man, I was not remembering nothing until a week later.
Yeah, I mean,
not remember anything. Excuse me.
I mean, it's easy for me to remember because, like, I had the job of making sure everything went right, if that makes sense. So I always had to be, you know, have a high level of cognition to an extent, you know what I'm saying? So also, last thing, obviously we're wrapping everything up, but do you have anything that you're working on that you want to promote, or anything that you have, you know, last words that you had to say before I sign us out?
I mean, if y'all want to come follow your boy on Instagram, yo main melanin. So as in like YOMAIN and then melanin. Come on, like it's not that hard to follow. Yeah, make sure you guys go out and get his book, man. It's gonna be a tale of a lifetime. You might get some hints at some of the things we talked about today. I would also end this with make sure you're telling the people that are in your circle, out of your circle, your family, your friends, whatever it is. Make sure you tell them they're important. Make sure you tell them you love them. Like, people get so weird about, like, you know, me. I always say I love you guys all the time.
Yeah, you say that all the time. Man.
Yeah, I say it to anybody. I don't care who it is, you know, because at the end of the day, my love is going everywhere. Make sure you guys are spreading positive vibes and happiness wherever you go. Like, you go to a new state, make sure you smile. Make sure you give them the energy that everyone wants to have around them. Like, it's a pandemic right now. We're, you know, fighting Corona. We could have been done with Corona a couple months ago. We all just stayed inside. But
very true.
We're party people. It's what we do. But just make sure you're taking care of yourselves, man. If you need to talk to somebody, if you're not there mentally, if you know your friends aren't there mentally, have them talk to someone. But just make sure you're always there for your people, man. Like, just like I told Lamar, I was like, hey, when you have this book going out, I'm #1 copy. I'm buying it. I'm supporting you.
And you were
1,000% of the way. Yeah, of course, man. That's the person I am. Like, I want to see you get to the top of the top. Like, I want everybody in BA, everyone in CCC, everyone that's around me in general to be at the top. And don't stop grinding. Don't let Corona, don't let your new schedule or your new life or whatever's happening distract you from what you want. You want it, get after it.
100%. That was a great way to end us all. All right. So that was all we had for this week's episode of the Jack of All Trades podcast. Make sure you follow CJ. I'm going to put all this information in the bio, in the description for this. Make sure you also check out the podcast on, you know, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Anchor, any other places you find your podcast. Make sure you also check out my sports podcast, Let's Talk About Sports. I'll drop the IG to that in the bio. And that's it. LA out.
All right.